Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Dee Klevit here with the System Simplified podcast, where we interview top entrepreneurs, founders, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And this podcast is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group. At Business Success Consulting Group, we create custom processes and tailor-made business systems so businesses can thrive and grow. All right, and today's guest is Dee Soffer-Ninary. Hi, Dee.
Hi, Dee. Thank you for hosting me today.
You're very welcome. I'm super excited as well. I'm going to do a short introduction, and then I'm going to let you tell your story, and we start the conversation. So you are a serial entrepreneur, and you have an amazing track record in the real estate industry and the construction compliance sector. You started your career as a property management consultant, and over the past 2 decades, you established multiple entities, very successful at it. You exit out of one, you have another one, you have different things going on, which is absolutely amazing. And, you are what I know about you is that you seek to add value to others in everything that you do. Also, as an entrepreneur, we're both part of the Entrepreneurs Organization. That's where we met. And you are the president of your local chapter. And you touch the life of so many entrepreneurs, making them better, inviting them to be part of that group. It's always seeking, how can I help? How can I help? How can I do things better? So I think our conversation today is going to be amazing, because we're going to talk about what it really takes to be an entrepreneur, or what is an entrepreneur from your viewpoint. And of course, we're going to touch about systems and processes, because you're so good at it and I love talking about it. So there you go.
Wow. Thank you, Dee. I don't know if you can see, but I'm blushing from all of the superlatives, and really everything you said. I was like, this is me, really? So I appreciate it. I do realize more and more that what really touches me in every sense is really being part of communities and building communities. I see it like as a thread throughout my life. Entrepreneurship in general. I love meeting entrepreneurs. I am an entrepreneur. I can't really go away from being an entrepreneur, something we're going to talk about, of course, and acquiring knowledge. So when you do acquire knowledge, you always seek to give it out just as much as you want to take it in. So that reciprocity of being always curious and always wanting to find better ways to do things, and then people who are like you and can give you just as much as you can give back, that's usually the environments I find myself in. So the growth is inevitable. So I'm a product of that, communities, entrepreneurships, and knowledge.
That's beautiful. That's definitely a great combination. So let's start with the definition of entrepreneur. So for you, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur?
So to me, an entrepreneur usually works in a dark room, minimal light, finding ways to turn them spark by spark until there's more clarity and assurance, and something that was created out of your own bubbles of thoughts, or some internal assurance that that's something is going to be X, not knowing that it is, but working towards it. So it's really trusting the process mindset and diving into projects that you're convinced that you're capable of, that you want it, you're passionate about it. And most importantly is the doing. It's like it doesn't stay an idea. It becomes a reality. So really going from vision to reality, I think entrepreneurship is making that happen. So that combination is the identity to me as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it has some element of overcoming obstacles, right? It's like an enterprise. It's something you take upon. It might be adventurous. It might have some obstacles you have to overcome. But it is the doingness. It is the idea, the creation, and then taking it all the way to execution, right?
Absolutely. I just want to say that it takes a lot of what we always call it, like a leap of faith. Like there's faith that if you do, then it happens. So, and not only if you do, then it happens, is that on the way, whatever happens shifts and changes the original thought so you can accommodate reality to make it happen. So it's that almost exploration of ideas and implementation, and then creating something that is like the mitigation of the two. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So I think an entrepreneur, unlike any other like business owner or investors or any kind of other hats within business realm, I think entrepreneurs are more willing to take risks, I think, and are willing to work through the insecurities of the clarities that are not yet found. So seeking clarity, but working through not being clear. That's an entrepreneur.
That makes sense. So when did you find yourself, when did you get into that a bit, into that identity, saying you woke up and you go, oh, I am an entrepreneur? I mean, when did you actually get that clarity that that's what you are?
When I try to fight it. So there wasn't a moment like I woke up in the morning, as you said, and I realized that's what I am. But it was actually through really realizing that throughout my path, I was not willing to live with what exists. I always wanted more. I always wanted to explore beyond what already was done or wherever I was. So I think it's that spark in you that is creating this inner hunger. So I don't know if it started one day, more it evolved throughout my childhood, throughout, whenever there's the question of what was your first job, it wasn't like I went and became a barista or, flipped burgers, or I actually created a business for myself when I was 13. I started tutoring, and then I had tutors tutoring on my behalf. So it's that being without knowing that that's what you are. So you're doing without knowing. But when I really knew was when I think that I gifted the business that I had 2 years ago, a seismic retrofitting business, to our COO. I basically gave it to him and I said, Brian, go ahead with it as long as you maintain the team and you basically build the pipeline and you commit to all of the commitments and build all the commitments we have with our clients. Please take over because I don't want it. It was not for me. It was not the right fit for me. So I was able to step away from that business. And then I thought, why do I need to build another business? I don't want to build another business. I don't want to be in the uncertainty of to bring clients and creating a logo and an idea and how do I am different than somebody else and creating like a marketing plan and everything else that entrepreneurs need to do when they are now out in the open, in the meadow, and they need to decide to themselves what's next. And I thought, what if I could just work for a change, 9 to 5 somewhere on a W-2 and just be happy and content with it? And I tried it. And it lasted 3 months and I worked in a nonprofit organization, the IAC, for a couple of months. And every pore in my body screamed for not being a good fit just because I am an entrepreneur. I have to lead the way. I need to come with the ideation. I need to come with a plan. So it was such a misfit for me that I realized, why am I fighting what I am? And I did it. I did the Camino walk in Portugal and Spain, that through walking and through those reflectory thoughts and really digging deeper into my own, what happened to me, what brought me to where I am, where I want to go forward with, that I thought to myself, you are an entrepreneur because you love the spark of an idea. And not only that you love the spark of it, I derive so much sense of purpose and meaning and happiness from bringing it to life and making it happen, that why am I trying to be something I am not? And I am an entrepreneur. So I'm not trying to fight it anymore because it chose me. I didn't choose it. Just like I didn't choose my gender, it chose me. So I'm not trying to fight it anymore, more than I'm trying to not only accept it, but embrace it. I think it's the biggest sense of pride now is being an entrepreneur. Just like that.
Absolutely.
Long answer to a short question. My apologies.
Not for sure. I mean, I think it's a great answer. And I think that's what I was getting at is like what point of the realization that you are, right? I mean, it's not that you woke up one morning and said, okay, now I am. You were doing the actions. And I think that's why you and I get along so well. And we have so much in common. I started my first business also when I was about 14 tutoring, right? I was tutoring math. What did you tutor?
I tutored math and writing. I'm a really good writer.
Yeah, I did writing and grammar, and then it evolved to other subjects. And then I had students, and it was just like, it went on and it went for several years throughout college, actually. And I loved doing it. It was amazing. And so that's when I also realized, hey, I just like doing that. I have an idea and then I execute it and I do it. And it was also always something I always envisioned myself doing is like starting different enterprises, those different activities, and have that idea and make it a reality. And myself, just like you, I mean, what I like is the problem solving, is to figure out better ways to do it. This is the way we do it right now, but what about this tool or that one, and how can we do it, and who can do it, and who can I transfer it to do it, and then see how they're doing it, and then hire more people like that so they can do it. It's just like, it's fun. It's like putting a puzzle together, right?
Totally. And I think we're constant explorers who are always looking for the formula so we can scale it. So it's that exploring, finding, it's almost like being in a lab. Like we're in a lab, but the lab is like infinite. You're not inside a room with scientists, but you're inside your brain, and you're in an area where you can explore different ways to bring solutions to whatever issues that you're tackling, and then figuring out the how, and then figure out the how quickly can you implement this throughout whatever it is that exists. So you don't have to go back to doing it. You just want to improve and move on. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And we both like systems. So let's talk about how systems and organization integrates and goes together with being an entrepreneur and being creative and coming with ideas. And how do you use that in order to actually get things done? Because what you said is so spot on. It's not just having the idea, it's actually pushing it all the way through to an execution. And that's really what a true entrepreneur is. It's like you have the fruits of your deeds, right? You actually have to do.
Absolutely. I think without systems, an entrepreneur would not be able to not only execute, but to find the next shiny object, as we always say. Because I think what happens to entrepreneurs building a new idea or improving on an existing idea is, as I said before, is formulating. Part of the formulation happens when you create processes and systems that basically allows you, the entrepreneur, to continue being an entrepreneur, like to really have the system work for you, so you don't have to do repetitive work. Or some people don't mind having those, the 9 to 5, the data entry, the graphic designing. Maybe their creativity goes towards something else, but entrepreneurs want to always expand markets, explore how can we do it bigger, faster, longer. So those ideas that comes to our minds usually are only possible to go for if you have systems in place that basically supports your initial actions. Because without it, you're going to be stuck in the doing without going forward to do the next thing. So systems and processes are paramount, I think, to entrepreneurs' long-term success.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And, yesterday I actually went to EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization. We had a great talk by Brooke. And Brooke, I apologize, but I don't remember your last name, but I'm going to look it up and I'm going to put it in the show notes, because she gave a great example. She basically said in an organization, you have the finders, the minders, and the grinders, right? And the finders are those that go and find, the next opportunity. They are the rainmakers, right? They are the ones that are there in order to find more for the organization. But then you have the minders, are those basically that have the mind, and they are the ones that are, will be like your leadership team, right? Or the upper level management. And then you have the grinders, which will be, I know it doesn't sound like very attractive term, but it's those that are very happy at executing the job, and we need it. We need all kinds of people that will work. Absolutely. But you have to identify where you are at. And some people love the 9-to-5, and there's nothing wrong with it. And us as entrepreneurs, we actually provide security, and we provide good jobs, and we provide opportunities so everyone can excel at what they're good at.
Absolutely. And while you were saying grinders, I was thinking about just the fact that personality-wise, some people like to have like a checklist. They don't want to create a checklist, but they want to have a checklist to have the assurity of what is going to be their next step or action. So you give them priorities and checklists, and you say, hey, go do it. They'll do it usually and probably better than you creating a checklist, because they're the professionals. They know the how to. But if you had to let them think, and they say, and give them just the idea without having structure, without having some roadmaps, some visualization. Beyond visualizations, it's like an actionable plan. So then the compatibility between, you mentioned grinders, but I'll say executioners. Mm-hmm. People are actually who are the implementers. We actually take your idea, take the list that you've created, take the milestones that you've set up, and say, hey, I can do it.
They're the doers, right?
We're the doers. Yeah. It taps into my skill set. And I can tell that I'm married to one. My husband and I, we work so well together. We manage the property management. We run the management company together. And I'm the ideation. I nurture the clients. I bring in the new products that we go for. And he's like, Dee, let me know what to do, and I'll do it. And he's the best at it, because he loves to make things happen, and he loves to execute on them. But God forbid you give him the idea to just think of the idea, he'd get lost. Or to write a business plan, he would get lost. And it doesn't mean that he's not critical. He's even more critical to business than me. Because there's a certain point where you need to really execute so well on the first initial idea to be able to have the second and third ideas. So grinders, executioners, doers are just as critical to entrepreneurs, maybe even more so. So I definitely see there's not just room for everybody, there's relevance and meaningfulness to each component. Like
absolutely.
Any engine, you have to have the whole thing for it to be run properly.
Right. And that's part of it. By the way, it's Brooke Lively. She's from the Profit Plan. Yeah. Cathedral Capital. So she's a fractional CFO, and she talks about how you can actually make sure that you are profitable as a business owner. But that the answer about figuring out like what role you wear in the company really goes together with the systematizing, because you can't just be the idea person. You have to have the entire system.
Right.
So what would you say to an entrepreneur is asking you, okay, Dee, how do I get organized? Like what are the main things that you did or that you do that allows you to execute on your ideas? Because you're really good at that. You have the idea, but it's not just like pie in the sky. You actually make it happen. So what would you say, like, what would be some of the steps that you take in order to actually make sure that it happens?
So for me, what works is verbalization. It's taking the thoughts and actually putting on paper. It doesn't matter if you type it or you write it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be accurate, but it's really helpful that I take the idea and I put it on paper or in my laptop, and I start looking at this, and it starts provoking more thoughts. So when I think and write at the same time, it's like the free writing, free thinking, then it creates some sort of a process that happens organically, taking the idea and making it into a plan. And then when it's written, the plan is there, then you extract the actions that are needed to start. And that's all you need in the beginning. You don't have to think so far ahead, 30 years, 10 years. You just have to think about the next couple of steps. Like of course, I didn't invent this. This is like methodology that worked and it's been named and renamed and paraphrased in many, but to me, that's what works. If I need to prioritize on something and I don't know how to start, I start with writing and then reading it again and then realizing it wasn't exactly what I meant. So articulating this, and I'm like, okay, if I don't know how to act on this, who can I go to that probably did it or knows better or can lead me to somebody who knows? These are the three components that I need if I don't know. And then I reach out to these people and I'm like, I don't know, but this is the idea. This is the plan. What can I do? And then either they give me a list of action items that I can start working with, or they connect me with somebody who can show me the way and handhold me and do all that stuff. So then it evolves into a something. And my next thing that is really helpful to me is really figuring it out, what I can do and what I can give somebody else to do that is better than me. So it's beyond just delegation. It's really tapping into, am I the right person to do this? Not because my time is worth more. I many times I find myself doing things that I could have paid somebody else to do, but I really enjoyed doing it. And not only that, I really wanted to do it. Like I wanted to do the data entry for it, just for the sake of getting the idea together. And it doesn't reduce me in any way, only because I'm already in a different level. If anything, it gave me the opportunity to think it through and think deeper and then delegate it to the right person. So I think after having the action plan, it's really looking into it and thinking what within those things I need to do, whether it's data entry, telemarketing, filing, it doesn't really matter how, like upper management, low admin, it really doesn't matter. But what is it that I need to do and what is it that I need to outsource? And then I do it just the way it is. And I tackle it one by one. And I found out for myself that usually thinking this way just brought me faster, created a lot more learning through. And it's evolving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you just outlined a great process on how to execute on ideas and how to make an idea that you have into actuality. So I think that is a great process that to follow. And without killing yourself and without working 80 hours a week, right? Because
not at all. I work from 10 to 3 every day. That's it.
Yeah, and you're really good at that. You're really good at strategizing and really living the life of an entrepreneur, not somebody that has working for their business, right? At a high-paying job and sometimes not, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I believe in designing your life. Like this is a concept that I've learned through EO, by the way. I think I copy-pasted it from somebody who said that they're basically doing 50% personal time, 50% professional time. And I thought to myself, wow, that's a concept I've never heard before. I wondered, where am I, with how I basically dedicate my time. And I realized that I'm not that far from it, but I'm not exactly as good as that person is. And I basically dictated for myself like a 30-30-30 rule for me. So because I'm so strategic and I'm a thinker and I'm into ideation, so I really devote a lot more time than before to personal growth. So I learn about new things. And I told you one of my key components in my own being is acquiring knowledge. So I read books that are completely not like you wouldn't think that I would be interested in. And I watch all kinds of how-to videos that I never know why I would need it, but it happens to fall in my lap and it kind of sparked my interest. And I'm like, sure. So I find the time to really explore personal ideas and thoughts and maybe supplemental things that is almost like as important as the doing part for me. So 30% of my time is devoted for that, the exploration part. And then 30% is 100% personal. That means my family, myself, working out, relaxing, meditating, all the stuff that usually people say, I don't have time for that. I make time for it intentionally. And then the rest of the 30% is actually executing. So the meetings, the how-tos, the writings, whatever it is that I need to do on my action plan, I have it on a daily basis. And I basically tailor my days and my weeks through that thought. And I feel that I have more control over my time, like the time doesn't control me, but the opposite. I have a lot more flexibility. And I'm very, very content because I kind of filled all three cups. My yearn for learning, my yearn for growth, and my guilt-free being with the family and being with loved ones and still working out and still taking care of me.
That's beautiful, Dee. Wow. What a great way to actually end this podcast with this note, because it is such a great advice. And I'm sure some people will say, well, how do I get there, right? I mean, there are ways to get there. And if they want to reach out to
only one way, Adi.
Yeah, tell me.
There's only one way to start.
That's right. I would say to do, but to start and then do. Absolutely. There is only one way. And decide. Absolutely. So, Dee, if people want to reach out to you, know more about you, about what you do, how can they reach out?
Usually I'm on LinkedIn, Dee Soffer. How else? Because I'm not a big social media person. But OptimaEnterprises.com is the property management company. That's our website. And through Contact Us, get to me. So that's the way.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. That's been a wonderful interview, sharing those experiences and really digging into what does it mean to be an entrepreneur. So thank you, Dee.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm humbled and honored. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.